Hello, everybody, and welcome into today's episode of Around the Slice. I'm sorry I didn't get this recap episode to you guys right the day after the game like I usually do, but one, I was busy yesterday being Monday, and two, since it was a huge playoff game versus the Ravens, obviously I wanted to wait on a couple key big injury updates coming out of the game from Sean McDermott, which we got, which I'll get to in a minute. But we finally did it. We finally got past the divisional round. We slayed our demons, if you will, in a big AFC opponent in the Baltimore Ravens. All the narratives, we got revenge from week 4, all that fun stuff. So without further ado, let's just get into it. The Buffalo Bills defeated the Baltimore Ravens in a divisional round of the 2025 AFC NFL playoffs by a final score of 27-25. Before I start with what word would I describe, or let me restart. Before I get into what's the one word I would use to describe this win for the Bills, I'm going to first give you the injury updates per Sean McDermott coming out of the game. He said Taylor Rapp is officially day-to-day now with a hip injury. It looked like a pretty bad hip injury from where I could gather, and if I was just personally guessing here, he's probably unfortunately not going to play Sunday against the Kansas City Chiefs. Because when you're carted off, it's usually for an ankle or torn ACL, torn Achilles, something like that. But if you're being carted off for a hip injury like Taylor Rapp was and out for a long period of time and then eventually ruled out, it must be really, really serious. So I'd assume day-to-day would unfortunately turn into week-to-week. And then also he said Christian Benford is in the concussion protocol. He said it happened in the onside kick attempt by the Ravens that we luckily exhaled, but we luckily recovered. So I'd assume he doesn't play as well. I know Ray Davis cleared concussion protocol in 7 days as at the running back position. But for defenders, especially hard-hitting DBs like Christian Benford, who uses his physicality very often and very well under control, I unfortunately don't think he'll play. So it will probably be Rasul Douglas and Kyrie Elam starting at corners, maybe mixing Jermichael Ingram, good chunk here and there. And then obviously Taron Johnson in the slot, which McDermott said he's a little sore today and yesterday, but he's trending in the right direction and he'll be okay and fine. And Taron Johnson himself echoed that statement. And then it'll probably be Cole Bishop and Cole Bishop and DeMar Hamlin at the safety position. So what's my one word to describe this win for the Buffalo Bills? I'm going to use the word refreshing. It was refreshing to finally slay our demons and get past the divisional round. Refreshing to finally have that revenge against the Ravens week 4. It was just refreshing that the defense finally stepped up in a big divisional round game after not doing anything for the past 3 years. It's really, really refreshing. Every facet of this game was really refreshing. And yes, maybe we did have some luck on our side with the Ravens failed 2-point conversions and the turnovers by Lamar and Mark Andrews. And Mark Andrews dropping that 2-point conversion pass. But hey, you know what? It's the playoffs, and it's about time the Buffalo Bills, after literally having a black cloud over their head since the 90s, it's about time we get some luck on our side as well. So you win, luck or not, you take it and you move on. So this was a very refreshing and thrilling win. Mainly, one word is refreshing, though. Bills enacted free game corner Kyrie Elam. I said this, I'll keep saying this. It's very straightforward. If Kyrie Elam starts, he's active. If he doesn't start, he's not active. Very cut and dry. It's because Jermichael Ingram plays a huge role in special teams. Kyrie Elam doesn't play a lick of special teams, so that's that. QB Mike White, emergency third QB. He'll always be there for emergency. Now, this is interesting. Kick returner / punt returner Brandon Codrington. And he had, after missing last week against the Broncos, he had no injury designation. The only one that had any sort of injury designation at all was Ray Davis. And right before the game, the night before the game, it sounded like he cleared concussion protocol. So that was good. But Brandon Codrington was a true healthy scratch. And they like Brandon Codrington. I can't remember if he lost the fumbles, but he had 2 fumble kick / punt returns. So they obviously trust Khalil Shakir more. Khalil Shakir didn't have to have a single punt return, but it's interesting that Brandon Codrington was a true healthy scratch. So, and then center Cedric Van Pran-Granger, that was just because Will Clapp was elevated from the practice squad the day before, and just in case Alec Anderson's calf injury re-aggravated that calf injury or flared up again or what have you, then Will Clapp is also trained at that jumbo tight end role that the Bills love to utilize heavily so much. So that's why he got the active over SVPG, Cedric Van Granger. Offensive lineman Ryan Van Noek. We've talked about this with the swing tackle situation with Tyler Grable over him. And then wide receiver Jalen Virgil, who's probably just occurred. It's the elevation. Hey, collect the playoff game track and move on with our lives. And then defensive tackle Dwayne Carter. They keep going with experience in Austin Johnson, Quentin Jefferson, Jordan Phillips, of a rookie who's kind of struggled in Dwayne Carter. Stock up. Here's my stock report. First, I want to start with Josh Allen. When you hear these stats, these aren't going to pop off the page. In fact, it's a pretty light day for Josh Allen, if you will. First, I want to start with this is so interesting to me. So he was 16 of 22, which computes to 73%, well above average for him, or the NFL in general, at least. But think about that. He only attempted 22 passes total. Just 2 years ago, we under Ken Dorsey especially, we were talking about Josh Allen attempting 55 to 60 passes a game. And then here under Joe Brady and with James Cook in the running game, he only attempts a mere 22 passes. I love it. I love how the running game supports Josh Allen. I love the design runs and scrambles for Josh Allen. And I love Josh Allen settling in around 25 to 28, maybe pushing 30 pass attempts a game. But this, not even 22. You don't have to stress him. The Bills are on a deep bomb offense this year. They'll mix it in here and there rarely, but that's fine. If he only attempts 22 passing attempts, whatever gets the job done. Again, 55 to 60 under Ken Dorsey 2 years ago. Dark times, I know, but 16 of 22, that's absurd for a guy like Josh Allen. And 127 passing yards. That's for any other quarterback, that's okay, mediocre, a ho-hum day, but not for as efficient as Josh Allen is and was in this game. And then he had 10 rushes for 20 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. No passing touchdowns, but no interceptions or fumbles either. But 10 rushes, 20 yards, and 2 touchdowns. The rushing attempts didn't compute to raw yardage as much as I would have hoped, but that's him going forward. I want Josh Allen to have Joe Brady dial up at least 10 or 12 rushing attempts a game for Josh Allen. A lot of those, a big chunk of those, if not all of them, being design runs. I don't want to have to have him bail out and scramble, but I want to emphasize the point home that 22 passing attempts seems low, but if you're winning games and you're very efficient, 73%, yes, no passing touchdowns, yes, only 127 passing yards, but no interceptions, no fumbles, no putting yourself in harm's way, no nothing. It's really, really encouraging to see. And then a couple running backs here. I want to start with James Cook. It's not like he had some phenomenal day, but he had a very efficient day on the ground. 17 carries for 67 yards. He also chipped in with 3 catches for 15 yards. So that's 5 yards a catch, 5 yards for reception. What I noticed from James Cook most this year, obviously he's a dynamo in the open field. You can't catch him. Defenders try to pull him down by his dreads. They try to pull him down by his hair, and it just doesn't work because he's so fast. But what I love from James Cook is it feels like to me he's up the ante this year in terms of physicality. He looked like he put on 5 to 10 more pounds of pure muscle. Because last year, if you guys recall and remember correctly, as soon as James Cook was contacted, he was going down. There was no after contact anything. He was getting all his yards before contact. This year, he's still getting that yards before contact, but he was actually keep turning his legs after contact. More physicality, more bowling ball mentality, more yards after first contact. And that's really, really encouraging. He's definitely upped his physicality quite a bit this year. And then running back Ray Davis. This isn't anything phenomenal. 4 carries, 29 yards, 1 touchdown. That 1 touchdown opened up the game. No, the Ravens got the ball for 7-0, and then this touchdown tied it, so it was tied at 7. So 7-7, Ray Davis. I love Ray Davis's combination of a ton of traits. His combination of speed, physicality, willingness to keep turning his legs after contact. Very good pass blocker as well. I love it, and I love that they're giving him opportunities in the pass game and the pass blocking game, but also they're giving him opportunities early in the game. He's not just that fourth quarter closer anymore like he was last week against the Broncos and in most of the season, what have you. He's not just a closer anymore. He excelled at that role, but now he's getting carries in the first quarter, second quarter, first drive of the game, second drive of the game, whatever else early in the game. So it's really, really encouraging to see Ray Davis. I love top to bottom, James Cook, Ray Davis, and Ty Johnson. We'll get into them later with the snap counts. Wide receiver Khalil Shakir, he had finished with 6 catches for 67 yards. I'm telling you, like, he doesn't drop anything. I think he had 7 targets and hauled in 6 of them. I think the 7th one that he hauled in was like an overthrow above his head, but like he doesn't drop anything, and he truly is the wide receiver 1 on this team. I assume he'll get a contract of 18 to 20 million per year AAV, average annual salary, or whatever you want to term it as and look at it. However you want to look at it as. 18 to 20 million, somewhere around there. I'm going to be a big advocate for that this offseason. So, and then Khalil Shakir, obviously, he had the second most yards after catch this season, regular season in the NFL, behind only Jamar Chase. Just think about that. Second most yards after catch total in the entire NFL, behind only Jamar Chase in the regular season. That's awesome. And then on the defensive tackle at Oliver, 3 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, but he held his own against Derrick Henry very, very, very well, especially in the first half. Derrick Henry didn't get going really until the second half. In the first half, though, held him under wraps pretty well. Now, Derrick Henry still had 16 carries for 87 yards and a touchdown. 87 yards and a touchdown, you're like, Aiden, that's a really good day for a running back. Yeah, but for a normal running back, not for Derrick Henry. For Derrick Henry, if you can hold him under 100 yards and a touchdown, I said, then you feel like you have a pretty good shot at winning, which, again, they did, albeit only by 2 points. But still, I thought Ed Oliver did a phenomenal job against Derrick Henry, holding him to that rushing total, especially in the first half. And then defensive end Greg Rousseau, he had 8 tackles, 1 sack, 1 TFL, 1 QB hit. I feel like sometimes Greg Rousseau is a better run stuffer than he is a true, game wrecker pass rusher. I don't think he's a game wrecker because he's a little too inconsistent for my liking more often than not, unfortunately. Sometimes, but he'll probably have a big extension this offseason. I really love how Greg Rousseau defends that run off the edge. He's one of the best run stuffing edge rushers in the entire league, and it's finally had some pressure on the QB there after being a bit inconsistent in previous games. And then defenseman AJ Epinesa, he had 6 tackles and 2 TFLs. Usually AJ Epinesa is pretty bad against the run off the edge. Complete opposite of Greg Rousseau against the run off the edge, but like 2 TFLs, he got in the backfield. He had a couple pressures. He couldn't finish them, but he forced Lamar to throw off platform and take off and run. So I really liked what I saw off the edge from AJ Epinesa and Greg Rousseau. And then a third defensive end, Von Miller, 1 tackle and 1 fumble recovery. It was funny because like my dad said this and then I agreed. It was funny because like I don't think anyone forced the fumble. I think Lamar just dropped the snap and failed to pick it back up. But Von Miller, Lamar Jackson dropped the snap and Von Miller picks it up. He starts going the other way. And since he's 35, going on 36 years old next year, he I think if that was any younger guy like Greg Rousseau or even Terrell Bernard, Matt Milano, or AJ Epinesa, they would have for sure like fumble 6, and it would have been a touchdown going our way. 6 points for us. And I think Von Miller's just too old to keep up. He was like, I got to go down. Like, he got caught from behind. I think it was like Justice Hill or maybe one of the wide receivers. Doesn't matter, but it's really good to see Von with that intensity, willing to run it back like that, though. And then linebacker Terrell Bernard, 4 tackles, 1 forced fumble, 1 fumble recovery. He had, without a doubt, without a shred in my mind, the play of the game, the play of the entire night. Linebacker TB, Terrell Bernard. The Ravens are moving. The Ravens are charging. They're down 27-19. And they're about to score. And they're on our side of the field, pretty close to the end zone. And Mark Andrews is wide open. I mean, wide open down the seam. But Terrell Bernard comes in with his physicality and boop, peanut punch, the Peanut Tillman thing, boop, peanut punch right out of there and recovered his own fumble. Sensational play that probably, I know that made us win the game, and that was absolutely incredible because I was really, really nervous. The Ravens were driving. They might have tied it up. That was really, really nerve-wracking. So, Terrell Bernard, like, game-saving play of the game. And then linebacker Matt Milano, 3 tackles, but 3 QB hits. I said this. I said last week in my preview, I don't want to brag, but like credit to me, I said last week in my preview that the Bills and Bobby Babbitt and Sean McDermott, whoever makes those decisions, should use Matt Milano as a spy on Lamar Jackson. They used it a lot in the first half, went away from it in the second half, so I got that right. And they should also use a lot of disguise coverages and delayed blitzes with Matt Milano. They used all of that. Spy, delayed blitzes, disguise coverages. It was awesome. And I also love how Bobby Babbitt kind of changed and Sean McDermott changed their philosophy in this game against receivers like Rashad Bateman and Mark Andrews, who are true man beaters. So they ran about 46% man coverage, the most they've run in a single game since 2022. Because the Bills are a majority a zone nickel style defense, and they don't come out of it from man or base defense a lot, but they really use some 3 linebacker sets and base defense and especially man coverage. So it was really good to see. And then corner Taron Johnson, 3 tackles, 1 pass deflection. It's impressive. He only missed a few plays, 34 give or take, because of the shoulder injury. It looked like he popped his shoulder out. He might have popped it back in. I don't know. That's always disgusting that you can just pop your shoulder back in, but whatever. He's still really, really, really good. And Taron Johnson is still one of the most underrated players in the league, in my opinion, him and Christian Benford. And the safety Taylor Rapp, 2 tackles, 1 pass deflection, 1 interception. Obviously, this was all before he went out with Carter off with the hip injury. The interception, obviously Taylor Rapp didn't really jump a route or make some dynamic play on the ball. Lamar kind of just lollipopped it to him, and he ran the route for Rashad Bateman. I think Rashad Bateman either cut his route off way too early or just flat out ran the wrong route, because it was very, very strange. No one makes that catastrophic of a mistake, but he did. So Taylor Rapp, right place, right time. It just fell into his arms. I said last year, you guys know on this podcast, that I wasn't the biggest fan of Taylor Rapp. I appreciated his physicality and run support, but his coverage left a lot to be desired, mediocre and average at best. But this year, I thought his coverage has been excellent. He's never out of position. He has quite a few interceptions, and he still has that physicality and run support near the line of scrimmage. And like I said, his coverage has improved quite a bit. And then huge stock up for me, punter Sam Martin. He had 3 punts. He averaged 50 yards on those 3 punts. I thought all 3 punts were absolutely phenomenal. 2 of them were inside the 20. One of them was a touchback. One of them was inside the 20. One of them was inside the 10. I thought he put a lot of spin in those punts. It was really, really nice to see. A lot of backspin. I still think Matthew Smiley, the special teams coordinator, needs to be fired, but neither here nor there in terms of Sam Martin. I think he's still a professional-level punter, but he still has his moments. And I thought yesterday was one of those moments. And then the entire offensive line. I want to give a huge shout-out to Spencer Brown. He totally neutralized and deleted from the picture just Nnamdi Madubuike, Odafe Owe, Calvin Noy, David Ojabo. It doesn't matter. It was really exceptional by Spencer Brown. And Deion Dawkins, in no world was that a hold. And that hopefully the exact play I'm talking about. It's literally his pulling technique he's done a million times in his 8-year career now, 8th year in the league. So, and the refs were pretty bad this game. In the fourth quarter, near the end of the game, when Khalil Shakir, the guy had his hip turned and they said it wasn't a PI. I thought the refs were pretty bad this game. And then the Tyler Linderbaum for shoving the ref in the second quarter didn't get flagged. And then Alvarez was held very, very, very clearly badly. It was kind of a travesty that they didn't call it. But, yeah, I don't know. And then run defense, again, Ed Oliver, Daquan Jones, Greg Rousseau, AJ Epinesa did something he doesn't usually do in run support. It was really, really phenomenal. Phenomenal game plan against Derrick Henry. Phenomenal structural defense by Bobby Babbitt. Sean McDermott too, but Bobby Babbitt more specifically, especially with the man coverage and the disguise coverages, stunts, and all that, how they defended the run. And then mixed. Tight end Dalton Kincaid. He had only 1 catch for 11 yards. I'm going to say it. Dalton Kincaid had a very disappointing season. I know he missed 3 games, but even before that, he wasn't doing much, in my opinion. it seemed like him and Josh were kind of off sync the whole entire year. Every time he was wide open, Josh would overthrow him, or every time it hit his hands, he would kind of drop the ball. I understand it was a little bit of an accurate, a low throw on Sunday a couple days ago at the second quarter, but like to me, he's got to catch that. You're a former first round pick. You've got to bail at your QB sometimes, and he just did it. Speaking of weapons, Next, I have a defender for Max. Defensive tackle Jordan Phillips. He recorded one tackle. I thought in the first half he wasn't phenomenal, but he was pretty good at stuffing the run and being in the right place at the right time. Second half, though, at 32 years old, he just looked gassed. He looked totally out of place. And I'm going to advocate this offseason for a huge youth movement at the D-line as a whole, but I'm going to advocate for a huge youth movement, especially in the defensive interior and the defensive tackle room, because Ed Oliver and Daquan Jones is fine, but like stop with Austin Johnson and Jordan Phillips and Quentin Jefferson expecting these washed up big veteran presences, literally and figuratively, to have a role and play a high amount of snaps. Like I'm kind of sick of like these old washed up guys like playing a big amount of snaps and not doing anything. So big youth movement incoming for me. And then safety, Damar Hamlin. I thought he was mixed. I thought he played better in the second half than he did the first half, but his stats, he filled up the stat sheet. 8 tackles, 1 sack, 2 tackles for loss, and 1 QB hit. I remember a couple times, though, where he was out of position, which was rare for Damar Hamlin. He's not an overly dynamic athlete. He's not going to wow you with any speed or pass breakups or coverage ability, but he's always where he's supposed to be, right place, right time. He's never out of position. As compared to a rookie like Cole Bishop, he was out of position quite a bit this season. Texans, Ravens a couple days ago. So Damar Hamlin, what comes to mind for me when he was out of position is that big bomb to Rashad Bateman that he let up. He was just trailing the entire time and could never catch up. Next, offensive coordinator Joe Brady. I thought the first half he was really good with the rushing schemes. Didn't force Josh Allen to pass the ball a ton. But the second half, he was way too conservative. We really could have put our foot on the gas pedal. And in my opinion, the playoffs, you have to be very overly aggressive. And he wasn't aggressive whatsoever. Way too conservative, way too dink and dunk. You cannot do that against the Kansas City Chiefs. They sniffed out the run very well in the second half. There wasn't much rushing lanes for James Cook, Ty Johnson, or Ray Davis. Mainly James Cook in the second half because he got the bulk of the carries, if not all of them, if I recall correctly, in the second half. Joe Brady was way too conservative. He's going to have to open up the playbook a lot more against the Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday, just 5 days from now. It's crazy to say. But Joe Brady, he's going to have to open up the playbook, and he was way too conservative, especially in the second half, in my opinion. So mix that down. I don't even know what our outside receivers are doing. Our two true X receivers, Keon Coleman and Amari Cooper. They combined for 1 catch for 5 yards. Okay, Keon Coleman had 2 targets. He caught 1 of them. Amari Cooper had 1 target. He didn't catch it. What are we doing? Find ways to get involved. But I also think it's their fault, too, because on tape, you can tell like they're not separating at high levels. They should be. And Amari Cooper's known for that, separating. In like the amount of snaps Amari Cooper's playing is kind of concerning, as we'll get into in a few minutes here. But, yeah. Stock down again. Corner Rasul Douglas. He only had 6 tackles. He looks old and slow. I know he was overly dynamic or particularly athletic in his career as a whole to begin with, but like he just looks washed, out of sync. I don't really hope if he leaves this free agency, then fine. I feel like he's going to go on the Stephon Gilmore plan where he signs 1 to 2 year deals, all these different places, and $8-10 million a season, zone heavy defenses, and make his hay at the end of his career through there. If he leaves the offseason, I'm fine with it. I really like Jamarcus Ingram. I really like Kyrie Elam still. First-round corners, second-round corners, another defensive back, because Sean McDermott can develop very well. So, Rasul Douglas, I thought he was terrible all night. And then the lack of pass rush, especially in the first half of the game, really annoyed me. Again, it ratcheted up, if you will, in the second half, but that's like marginally. Like it has to be better. Like I said, AJ Epinesa, a few here and there, a few impressive pressures, but you got to finish those. You can't let Lamar Jackson escape. Greg Rousseau, got to get more consistent pressure. Von Miller, when you're on the field on 3rd and 4th down, long and late downs, key situations, you got to get more pressure. I think they just need a youth movement in the defensive tackle room, like I said. So I just want a dude. Like, if the Raiders want 2 first-round picks, hell, if the Raiders want 3 first-round picks for Max Crosby, okay, here you go. Because really, what? The Bills will hopefully every year be picking in the late 20s, early 30s, hint, hint, wink, wink, every year. So, yeah, I mean, I just want a dude on that defensive line off the edge, especially. Big source of the game more. So I want to give a quick shout out to Ed Oliver for his job he did specifically against Derrick Henry. But how could it not be linebacker Terrell Bernard? Play of the game, recover his own fumble, peanut punch, whatever you want to call it. However you want to sum up the moment. It was just perfect. It killed any momentum the Ravens had, and it was just perfect timing. Burn slice of the game award. I'm unfortunately wide receiver Amari Cooper. Like, I expected a huge game for him. This was a very favorable matchup for X receivers between Deion Coleman and Amari Cooper, and especially with Cooper being a veteran, I thought he was going to have a huge game, and he had 0 catches for 0 yards. So, yeah, reflecting on 5 game predictions from preview, I said these are the 4 underdog fantasy player props I give you guys. I said give me Josh Allen over 45.5 rushing yards. That didn't happen. Not even close. He only had 20. He had a lot of carries, 10, but it didn't really equate to much raw yardage, so that didn't happen. Amari Cooper over 22.5 receiving yards, please. I said on underdog. I literally said these exact words. Oh, that seems really low prop. What do they know that we don't? Well, apparently we know that he did terrible. They know he's going to do terrible this game, which he did. So that didn't happen. I said, give me Lamar Jackson over 52.5 rushing yards, and he only had 39. Didn't really come kind of close, but not really. So that didn't happen. So we are 0 for 3, but at least these last 2 are good. Mark Andrews over 3.5 receptions. He had 5. They look to feed him early and often. So we are now 1 of 4. And last one, this happened. Bills forced at least 1 reception on Lamar Jackson. He had at least 1. And it was Taylor Rapp. Lollipopped her to him. So 2 of 5, 40%. Not good at all. Pretty terrible. And then I said Bills win the game 41-35. This was much lower scoring than I had anticipated. They ended up winning 27-25. But it's the playoffs. Who gives a crap about the score? I love all the Ravens fans. Whoa, if we didn't have 3 turnovers, we would have won the game by 2 scores. Blah, blah, blah. Well, newsflash, you didn't. Like, that's the dumbest, coping mechanism I've ever heard. Like, they're just trying to cope with the loss. Well, if this happened, and this and that. No, it's irrelevant. It doesn't matter what could have happened, should have happened, would have happened. Who cares? You're not in the playoffs anymore. Stop trying to cope with yourself that you're not doing nothing. It's just, it's stupid. All the doubters for the Bills, by the way, don't you worry. They're now they're starting the national media loves Josh Allen. They love the Buffalo Bills. It's Emmanuel Acho. He was so over the top. I don't even want to get into it right now. I'll make myself upset. But, yeah, I'll just leave that there. Final thoughts as questions. This game was a quintessential perfect example of how Josh Allen doesn't need to be Superman every single damn playoff game to win a playoff game, no less the divisional round. He can have the support of the running game. The defense finally showed up in a divisional round game. He doesn't have to be Superman, and that's evident by only 22 passing attempts total in the game. So I love it. And the RB rotation is perfect. I love how they utilize all 3 of them, top to bottom, James Cook, Ray Davis, Ty Johnson as their pass protecting back and 3rd down back. It's kind of an X factor for this team. And the blocking schemes of Sledge and Matt Collins. I think it's awesome. Takeaways from the offensive snap counts. I have a couple things I noticed here. Dawson Knox outright playing more snaps than Dalton Kincaid. It's not concerning. I just find it interesting. Dawson Knox played 57% of offensive snaps. Dalton Kincaid only played 51% of offensive snaps. It's only a 6% difference, but that's pretty interesting. And they're not really on the field together anymore. They finally realized, hey, this 12 personnel, 2 tight end crap isn't going to work, like I said last year. And then Amari Cooper, this is concerning. He's still only playing a very low amount of snaps every game. He only played 34% of snaps. this game. This is a divisional round playoff game versus a huge rival in the Baltimore Ravens, and he only showed up and played 34% of offensive snaps. Something's going on there. It's weird. And then defensive snap counts, I don't have anything. Nothing too ordinary. Nothing too out of the ordinary, I should say. Rather, excuse me. Sorry about that. Misinterpret that. It's really, really good, though. No defensive abnormalities, if you will. Everything was normal. So anyways, guys, I can't believe I'm even saying this now. First of all, I still can't even compute like what's going on right now. I don't understand how we're even in this position. I don't even know how to fathom it. Like, it's crazy to say. I don't even know how this is real right now, but we gotta go through the Kansas City Chiefs, obviously, but one win away from a Super Bowl appearance. Like, it's crazy to even say that. Like, one win and we're in the Super Bowl. Let that sink in. I don't even know. Like, I can't even fathom that still. That's absurd to me. One win and we're actually in the Super Bowl. I love this team so much. I love Josh Allen so much. I love this podcast so much. I appreciate you guys so much for tuning in. I don't know. Anyways, you guys can follow me personally on Twitter at AWagner13. You can follow the show on Twitter at Around Slice. You can watch or listen to this podcast on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcast. Thank you for tuning in. It's still unreal to me that we're one win from a Super Bowl appearance. Please, please, please let that sink in. And don't even entertain Ravens fans and they're trying to cope that they lost. And don't even get into that. They're just being stupid and obnoxious. So anyways, guys, I will see you on Friday. So 3 days from now. So Friday, January 24th for that huge, monstrous Bills-Chiefs game preview. Enjoy this moment. Let it sink in. Because 5 days, we could potentially be in the Super Bowl. Anyways, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for the support as always. See you Friday. Bye.